Thanks, Nate. My name is Scott Mizek, CAD Technology Center, Application Engineer. Today, again, yes, we're going to talk about lot layouts using the parcel tools for residential development. Whether you're creating the parcels manually or you're going to use some of the automatic tools, everything needs to go into a site. So whether I create a single line, an arc, or I use some of the automated tools, they got to go into a site. So got a screen cap here, sites. I created a site called Parcels. As Civil 3D has, it's full of styles. So I'm going to have two major styles in here. Parcel styles, that's what my lines are going to look like. Whether it's blue, red, yellow, green, depending on the value of that style. Is it property? Is it single family? Is it multifamily? Road? Whatever. So what are my lines going to look like? That's that style. Layers, things are going to fall on by default using your object layers. And then the label style. That's going to be what is going to be labeled within the parcel. Do I want to see just the parcel name, just the parcel number? Do I want to see square footage and acreage? Do I want to see perimeter? So that's what's going to be controlled under the label styles. I have line segment and curve segment labels. Right now those are turned off. I like to add those later after everything's said and done. Don't want to clutter up my drawing until I'm ready to actually finalize it. So I usually leave that unchecked. And then the infamous erase existing entities. So that's a typical, that is your dialog box to start out when you start building parcels. What site, what parcel style, what label style. Again, the parcel label styles out of the box, Civil 3D Imperial, there's a handful in there. There's a basic, there's the open space, property, road, and single family. Again, that's going to control what color your line is for the perimeter of your parcel. And then the area label style out of the box has name, area, and perimeter, name, square foot, acreage, parcel name, parcel number, and I have a couple examples of those. There's the name, there's the number, and there's the road. Typically, a nice workflow is you'll generate your perimeter, and then I yet to see a subdevelopment that doesn't have any roads in there. Well, roads are based off of a lot of alignments. So what that allows me to do is if I have an alignment running through my parcel, as long as that alignment is in the same site as the parcel, I can then add a right-of-way to it. So I can take that alignment and I can come in and say I will have, in this case, 20 feet. So 20 feet on both sides gives me a 40-foot right-of-way. Well, I'd want to change that to be about 30 feet, get a 60-foot right-of-way for residential. Next tool in there is fillet radius at parcel boundary intersections. So when that road goes outside my parcel area, what do you want me to do? Well, right now it defaults to a 20-foot fillet in there. Well, you can set that to none. You can set it to chamfer or leave it as fillet. And then the next one is clean up at alignment intersections. So if I have multiple alignments within my parcel, and they intersect, what do you want me to do? Just like the intersection wizard for corridors, this will put in a 20-foot fillet at all intersections within my parcel. Creating my parcels manually, I have a handful of tools. I have add arc or add line, add or delete a PI, point of intersection. I have a free form create, and then I also have a union and a dissolve parcels. On the automatic side, I have basically two options: add slide line, which is a nice tool to have, and then add swing line. So I have my line, I have my arc, and then here I have the add slide line, edit slide line, swing line, edit swing line, and then actually the freeform create, and then over here I have the union dissolve parcels. If you use the automatic creation, a handful of options you have in here. You have minimum area right here, so I can say that the minimum area of my parcel is a 1/4 acre, or maybe it's 12,000 square feet. The minimum frontage, I can say that all my parcels have to have a frontage of at least 90 feet. And then with that 90 feet, I can say, do I want that calculated at the frontage or at the front offset? And if it's the front offset, then what is your front offset? 30 feet, 50 feet, 20 feet, half mile. A minimum width. My lots have to be at least 50 feet wide everywhere. Minimum depth, they have to be at least 50 feet deep. Use maximum depth. Yes, what that'll do is right now it's set to 500 feet, so it will prevent any of my parcels from going more than 500 feet deep. And then the multiple solutions, use the shortest frontage or use the shortest area, smallest area. The key that most people don't use or don't realize the benefit is the automatic mode. If it's turned off, what it'll do is when you build your parcels, it'll take in all these parameters, but it'll allow you to build it one parcel at a time. So I can set the first 3 to have a minimum frontage of 90 feet using the offset. But then maybe I come up to a curve where instead of using the offset, I want to use the actual frontage. So when I'm in the curve, I want to switch my frontage from yes to no, and then continue on. And now that minimum frontage will be based off of at the front here and not at the offset. And then the remainder distribution, you have a couple in there. Place remainder in last parcel. You can evenly distribute it between all parcels, or you can do a rarity and just drop the remainder as its own parcel. Two common ones are place remainder in the last parcel or redistribute among all of them. Putting it into one small lot doesn't pay off that often. But these are your automatic creation settings that we will play with when we get into the demo. There is hierarchy when it comes to the parcel label styles. So once I get a site developed and I have the property of the overall in there, so I got a property style, I have a single family style, I have an open space style, I have a single family and roads. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to place those in order, so what line takes precedence. So when I got the road running through my lots, what line shows up? Is it going to be the single family lot or is it going to be the roads style? And that's what's handled here by the display order. In this case, roads will take precedence. So anytime that there's a roads and a single family, the roads style will show, and then the single family, and the single family will take precedence over the properties. So by setting your styles here, or the display order, helps with the display, the aesthetics of our drawing. And that's just by right-clicking on parcels under the prospector and going to properties. I mentioned this with some of the manual tools. When you use the right-of-way command, it will actually split it, and you'll actually end up with 2 separate parcels. Here's 22 and here's 24. What I will be able to do is I'll be able to do a parcel union, and I'll be able to combine the two into one overall. Makes it nice when we don't want the ability to say, oh, here we got the eastbound lane and the westbound lane as separate parcels. We want all the right-of-way going through our subdevelopment as one overall. So I can say that, look, we have 65,000 square feet of right-of-way going through our subdevelopment. Having this union of all right-of-ways helps us achieve that. Once we get everything built, we're going to be able to rename and renumber. So if you click on any of the parcels, you'll have the ability to get the contextual ribbon and then click rename, renumber, and we'll have, if we want to renumber, we can say start with 1 and increment by 1. But if we say rename, what we'll be able to do is click the little template and then actually plug in the name L, and then I dropped in next counter, and it'll start at 1, increment by 1, and then ends with B1. So what this is going to do is it's going to start with L1, B1, and then go to L2, B1, L3, B1. So I have my lot 1, block 1, lot 2, block 2, or lot 2, block 1, lot 3, block 1, and it will increment. Most of our drawings in there, when we submit, we want to know lot 1, block 1. We're not going to care that it's parcel number 65, but having the lots and the blocks helps us out. And there's a handful of different property fields in there. The next counter, and then popping it in like this, it's what I've used. It's what most people will use. It's common. Once we get everything labeled or everything put where we want, now it's time to add those segment lines. When we first built our parcels, we left that unchecked, but now what I can do is I can come in and say add multi-segments, and once I click add multi-segments, it'll ask me pick your lot, so I'll pick the label, and then it's going to ask me clockwise or counterclockwise. And I take clockwise, and it will come in and it will label my lots all the way through. If I move my lines, those update. When I get to the end, then I want to be able to create tables. Worked on 400 single-family residential lots, and because of the skill of the drawing, the text was so hard to read that they had to create tables. So instead of seeing a bearing and a distance, we saw L1 and L2, and then we created a table that specified what L1 actually was. And to do that, you'll click on one of your labels, you go to add tables, add segments, and it'll open up this screen right here. And we'll pick our table style, but we'll see that no tags are selected. So we'll click on that, and then we'll pick what tags we want to add. The key on this is you can't just do a window pick, because then Civil 3D will just randomly place them. This is one of the tedious things when it comes to a table, is what I had to do was I had to actually click this label, then this one, then the C1, then the C3, then the C4, and then 5, 6, 7. I have to manually pick them so that each parcel should have lots, lines 1, 2, 3, 4. The next one will be 4, 5, 6. The next one will be 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. We want to try to have all our parcels to have consecutive numbering when it comes to our lots. So it is a little tedious. You do have to manually pick them in order, because if you just do a window pick, it starts at the top left and works its way down to the bottom right, and it just takes it as it finds it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into my demo really quick, and we're going to cover a lot of those tools that I just talked about there, and we'll talk about a good workflow to handle this. So first thing we have is we have our section. We broke down our section in here, and we knew that the parcel that we own is in the northeast quarter of the northwest quarter of section 122. And then I came in and I comped out what I own. So there is our parcel. That is what we own. Well, you got two options that come here for a workflow. First one is we can draw in our alignments. We can do some offsets. I'll do both to show what we want to do. The first thing I do is I know I want 180-foot lots, especially on the outside. Well, then if I have a 60-foot right-of-way, I would want 210-foot to get to the center line of my road. But what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll offset that 180 feet. And I'll come in and offset that in, oops. There we go. Yep. So there's my 180 feet. And then I can come in and say offset 60 feet. And that would be about my road. So I know that all these exterior lots right here will be 180 feet deep. And then maybe I want to line a road coming through the middle, and I can offset that 30 feet both sides. And now I have a road coming through. I can make my road through there. Or I can come in and I can actually just start drawing my roads. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to erase that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on. What I've done is I've come in and I've offset 180 feet around, offset 60 feet, and then I said, oh, let's have a road come through here. So I did some preliminary conceptual design ahead of this, but this is what I want to come up with. This is the design of my subdivision right here. Option one is to create parcel objects from my perimeter first. So it's going to be site. I want to put in my parcel site. Parcel style will be property. That's going to be my overall. And then the area, or the area label, I will just have it as square foot and acreage. And I will not label anything. And I will erase existing entities. So I now have a parcel called 55, and it is roughly 37.50 acres. Well, because I've come in and done some design, I now can add some of my other lines that I've drawn as property lines. So I can come in and add objects, and I will add all these as objects too. This last line that I'm clicking, this one that runs north-south, that's basically the southbound lane of my right-of-way. So I am giving up the east side of my property for right-of-way. But now these, instead of property, I want to make these single family. And I will leave it as name, square foot, and acres. See, okay? Now what I have is I have 5 individual parcels. I got parcel 1, parcel 2, which actually represents my right-of-way. So right now my right-of-way is 6.08 acres within my subdivision, plus then the 0.87 that I gave up on the east side. And then I have square footage and acreage for the 2 internal portions. My other option I have is to come in and use the right-of-way tool command. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my centerline road, and I'm going to turn this one, and I'll create a new parcel right-of-way. Say OK. Property, square footage, say OK. And now what I do is I have my property again, 37.5 acres. But now I'm going to create alignments out of all this. So what I'm going to do is I forgot to join these things ahead of time. So there's palette 1, join. There's polyline 2, and there's polyline 3. So alignments from objects 1, 2, 3. The key on here is they have to be in the same site. So I'm going to go into parcel right away, leave it as proposed, and say OK. By doing that, I now have, let me undo, alignment from object. We'll do this one right away. OK. We will repeat. Join. Alignment from object. Parcel right away. There's that one, and we will add this one in also. Alignment from object. Parcel right away. So I ended up with 3 parcels because anything that's in an enclosed area can become a parcel as long as it's an alignment or within the parcels. So now what I have is I have my center line alignments, and I want to create right-of-ways out of there. So I'm going to come up to my parcel, and I'm going to say create right-of-way. And it's going to say select parcels. I need to pick the labels. So I pick all 3 labels and hit enter. And now I get my dialog box. Offset from alignment, we want a 60-foot right-of-way, so I'm going to do a 30-foot. Fill radius at parcel boundary intersection, I want to set that to none. Or I had chamfer as an option, but I want none because I don't want to add a chamfer here because maybe this is running through. And then radius where it intersects. Let's do a 25-foot fillet. Say OK, and there we go. There are my right-of-ways. That quickly I've built right-of-ways. So now I know that when I build parcels in here, it will go to the front property line. Well, same thing here. I have parcel segments. Got me to the same outcome, but because I put this little knuckle in here, this way was a little bit quicker than coming into here, because what I would have to do is I would have to come in, drop my knuckle in there, trim out my knuckle, and with parcels, to trim out, you have to use the trim commands up in here. So, parcel segment. Let's get into the actual edit geometry. And there is trim. And so from here, I would have to trim this. Trim. Select cutting edge. Right there. And so I would have to trim that out, then I would have to add that in. So adding knuckles in ahead of time and using the actual right-of-way instead of the center line sometimes is a little bit quicker. So what I want to do is I want to show some of the tools that come in handy now. First tool is using the creation tools and actually just creating things manually. So I can come in and add a line and make sure that it goes to the right site. Parcel style single family. Say OK. And anywhere that I click, as long as it makes an enclosed area, it will split my boundary. So if I come in and I move this to here, it basically came in and said, oh wait, guess what? This is now one still full site. But as soon as it goes to the corners, it splits the lot up. And if you can add a line, you can add an arc. And there's a fixed curve, 3-point, or you can add a fixed curve, 2 points and radius. So I could manually come in and add lines that are automatically parcels. Or just delete that out. I can just do the line command and draw my line that way. And once it's in there, I just add it to the site. Single family, and say OK. And now I have a small site right in there. And if I move my line, my site automatically updates. But drawing everything manually takes all the fun out of things. Let's do things with a little more speed behind it. So what we have is our creation tools again. We're going to talk about all the ones with automatic creation. So right now, parcel sizing, minimum area. It's got a minimum area right now of 10 acres from when I was goofing around earlier. So I said I'm making 10-acre sites. But I want to make something that's 12,500 square foot, minimum area. Minimum frontage, I want 90 feet minimum. Use the frontage at offset? Yes, I want to use it at the offset. So it's going to come back 30 feet, and that is where my distance is. Well, when I'm in tangent, that's not going to be that big of a deal. When I get into the curve, that's going to play a little bit bigger of a role, and that's what we're going to see. Minimum width, 50 feet. Minimum depth, well, I got 180-foot lots in here, so putting a minimum depth of 170 feet, that will work. Just make sure you don't put in like 185 or 190. But minimum depth should work at 170, but I'm going to drop it down just in case. And then the next one is use max depth. No. It will just go back as far as it could and keep 90 foot and the 12,500 for my areas. Use shortest frontage, so if I'm on a curve, I get two options, the shortest frontage or use the smallest area. I use shortest frontage, typically. Now here's the one that people don't realize. Automatic mode, we're going to put it to on first. And what that will do is it will calculate everything at once. And we're going to see what it looks like, and then what I'm going to actually do is get rid of it, and then we're going to come back and turn the automatic mode off. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to say automatic tools. I have slide line, create and edit. I have swing line, create and edit. And then I actually have what's called a free form create. That's more manual. It's more tedious. Slide line I like. Swing line I have never found a good benefit for it. Because what it does is finds the radius point and then it lays everything out radially. Well, how often do you have 6, 7 property lines that are going to share the same center point? It doesn't happen that often. When you're coming around curves, you're going to use that right-of-way line as the target line. So finding the actual radius point, not that beneficial. I mean, there's some uses to it, but for the most part, slide line is what I will use for automatic creation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say slide line, create, and I do have my automatic mode turned on, and I'm going to put everything in the parcel site, single family, name, area, and perimeter. Say OK. And what it is asking now is select parcel to be subdivided. So I need to come in and pick the label for this area, which is right there. And now it's asking for the select start point on frontage. Well, I want to pick the right-of-way in this corner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it follow that line all the way around to the end. It's going to say specify angle or bearing or azimuth. If I just hit enter, it came in and that quickly it said, here's all your lots. Well, that's not too bad. I mean, in a couple clicks, I came up with all those lots. Are they ideal? No. I mean, look at this cul-de-sac. That lot's not going to be ideal. This lot, definitely not going to be ideal. So using the automatic mode, not that beneficial. So right here where it says accept results, yes or no, I'm going to say no. And now what I want to do is I want to switch that automatic mode to off. But I'm still going to use the slide line create. I'm still going to use the same settings that I've had here, but I'm going to put a little twist on it. So now I'm going to come in, I'm going to follow the line around again, and I'm going to say yes, or just hit enter. And what it did was it came in and said, hey, here's your first lot. Does that look good? It's got 12,500 square feet. Your minimum frontage is 90. So whichever one holds, I mean, it'll work. So it's going to meet all these requirements. So I'm going to say yes. Oops. Frontage road. Why did that stop on me? Angle. Yes. So it came in and dropped that first one in, and now I'm on my second one. Yes. Yes. So I'm holding all these. So as of now, there hasn't been any change until now I get to here. Now I'm in my curve. So now what I want to do is I want to be able to say minimum offset, minimum frontage at offset. No, I want it at the right-of-way line. So now I've quickly changed that, and now because I'm on a curve, maybe I want it to be 115 feet. That lot looks pretty good, so I'm going to accept that as yes. That one looks pretty good. And now that I'm back on tangent, I can switch this back to yes. And I can run my lot. And here's that one. Well, let's drop that down to, or bring that up to 125 feet. 145. Looks good. We'll drop minimum frontage on him down to 125. Drop him, or bring him back up to 145. 165. There we go. Brings him back to 90. Yes. And continue all the way through. I accidentally escaped out, but now I have lots when it comes to knuckles, when it comes to cul-de-sacs or just curves, things are more the way they should be. Hold 90 feet at the offset in tangent, but now drop it to the right-of-way line when you're in a curve or you're at a cul-de-sac. Well, what happens with that automatic tool when you have something that's internal, like I have here? So if I come in and I say Parcels, Parcel Creation Tools, and I use Slide Line Create, Parcel Single Family, and I want to use this one, and I want to come from here all the way to here. There's my lot. There's my first lot. That looks absolutely horrible. That's not going to help. It had a hard time coming all the way around and recognizing what to do. So what we did was, in our design, we're going to put a pond here. So what I ended up doing was I ended up creating another offset That's 180 feet. So all these lots are 180 feet. Whoops. There we go. So now what I want to do is I want to turn this line into a parcel object. And in this case, instead of single family, I want it to be open space. And here I can just do named area and perimeter. So there is that. Now let's take a look. And we'll still see that we got issues. So swing line, parcel single family. I'm going to pick this lot, frontage, and we'll stop there. There's my first lot. It looks the same again. Why? Because it does. So what I need to do, is I need to extend, let my computer think, let it catch up. Save, close, parcel 3. Line, whoops, undo. Line. What I need to do is I need to temporarily put in a divider. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do parcel, create parcel from object, and because I'm going to delete this one out shortly, I can just put it as anyone I want, open space, and now I can come into my parcel creation tools, hold these values, slide line, say OK. Pick that one, frontage road, and now I'm going to stop right there. And now there's my first lot, and I can say, yep, I like that one, so I'm going to say yes, yes, yes. Here, I'm going to leave it where it's going, but now I got my corner lot, and it's got my frontage here, and then my area. So what I want to do is I want to put minimum depth. And I know that that's 180 feet, so I'm going to set that to 180 feet. Minimum depth 180, and it brings that in. And it brought it all the way around. But I'm going to accept that, because now what I can do is that ever going to happen in the real life? No. But what I can do is I can create my circle from here, move, and when you use the slide line, every time your parcel segment ends up with grips, and it will slide along that line. So if I drop it there, now that corner shares. And then if I move this one down to here, I can hit this grip and I can move that one to there. So now I have a lot that is 0.9 acres. A little bit bigger, but hey, it's a corner lot. Corner lots are always bigger. So that's what I would do, is I would just come back through and I would just finish now deleting all these lines. And there's my original line. It's still in there. So until I actually create more parcels, I need to leave that in. So I need to now create my lines to come all the way across and have frontage being this way. Some other tools I want to be able to do is I want this parcel to actually follow this angle. So what I can do is I can come in and go parcel segments, slide line, say okay. That's right, I want it to follow this line right here. Or no, even better, we'll do this one. We want this to come off right away. So what I want to do is select parcel to be subdivided, select my frontage, and I'm going to just go from here to here. And now, instead of just accepting the angle, which will run perpendicular to this, I want to run it off of a bearing. So I'm going to hit B for bearing. And now what I have is I have azimuth or angle. So I can come in and I could literally plug in northwest 85.652 degrees, but I want angle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say here to here, and then hit enter. Oops. Here, bearing, angle, angle, specify angle, adjust parcel layout parameters or angle, slide line. Oh, oops. Forgot the one major thing. When you're using that tool, hey, make sure you set your minimums really low. Maybe I need a 1/10 of an acre for my minimum. So I need 4,356 square feet. Use max depth, no. Okay, slide line. Say okay. Frontage, bearing, angle, specify the angle. And there is a 1/10 acre that runs parallel to my right-of-way line instead of running perpendicular to my frontage road. And I can just accept that. And now there's my first 1/10, so maybe that's my, I got an easement area in there with a do not build, but now I can come back to 10,000 square feet. And then accept that, yes. Yes. And then 12,500 square feet. Yes. We're going to try to do some simple math here. Nothing's ever simple. I have acreage 1.68. That's never easy. So let me try to do this. Parcel. Oops. Edit parcel style. Nope, I did want that. Parcel style, single family, property, and my label style is going to give me square footage. So I have 73,100. So that is We're going to cheat a little bit more. We'll bring that in. 3. 70,516. So I need 35,258. I want to split this in half. So what I can do, Parcel Creation Tools, is my minimum area is going to be 35,258.39. Slide line, say OK. Pick there, F3, from here to here. Yes. And what that did was it split that lot in half because I found out the square footage, I divided it by 2, and it held. Now what I could have done was I could have also held this line for the angle, and then it would have determined where was halfway through this line being parallel. So instead of it being perpendicular to this one, it would have been parallel to that one. Now, because I changed one, how hard is it to change all these? Instead of single family area acreage, I want it to be this one. I want to see square footage and then acreage, like it says there, instead of area perimeter. Well, if I click on it, as I did before, I could come in and change that to be square footage. That works, but if I click on and I say select similar, it selects them all based off of the lot style. But when I go into edit label, is it going to change? It changed. The other way is also by saying select similar, and then in the properties to change it up in here, parcel name. Now I have my lots, but I don't have any of the data that I want. This one right here, it's going to be Parcel Properties, it's roads. And this one should be open space, but we'll check. Open space. How do I get the magenta lines, the brown lines here, and then the green lines? What's the order on those? Prospector tab, sites, parcels, parcels. Here's all the parcels that I've created for here. Right click on property, and here's the hierarchy. So right now roads take precedence over single family, which takes precedence over open space, which takes precedence over property. This is all based off of how they were created, when they were made. So I want open space to take a precedence over single family. So now I will see green lines versus magenta lines. But if I move single family up, now I have magenta in here. If I move single family up again, say apply, now everywhere that it was single family has been superseded. And if I change this one to be single family, say apply, say OK, that becomes magenta. So by right-clicking on parcels under your site parcels properties, I have the ability to reorder my display. Well, we're done for now. So let's go ahead and start labeling our lines. Click on one of your objects, add labels, multi-segment labels. Again, when I clicked on an object, you get the contextual ribbon, and when I go to labels, it only will show up labels specific to parcels. So it's saying add parcels to be labeled by clicking the area label. I'm going to click there, and now it's asking me clockwise, counterclockwise. Well, we'll go clockwise. And then it's just going through and adding them in. And I'll just continue on. The benefit to these things is, as we know, if I slide this thing, my areas will update. Let's turn off my O-snaps. But all my distances update too. So here's 102, 63, and 77. I moved that this way. Now I'm at 87, 92. So I have the ability to adjust these things and all my labels automatically update. That was simple enough, but now let's go ahead and we need to create a table out of this. Click on your label again. Here's Add Tables. We will add a segment table. That way all my lines and curves are in the same spot. Add segments, line and bearing, split table. I don't like splitting tables. No tags are selected, so I'm going to select, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to highlight all those. On purpose, I did them in that way. Convert all styles, say OK, and here are, I'll drop in the table, there is lot 8, 10, 9, so 9, 10, 8, or 8, 9, 10, there's 13. Well, that's dumb. Maybe it should have been 7 or 11. So I'm not getting 4 consecutive line types in the order that I want. So I'm going to delete back to there, and I'm going to click, and now I'm going to add my tables again, segments. This time I'm going to add my labels, and I have to actually pick them in order. Convert, say OK, and there's my table. The one mistake I made was I went, boom, I did a complete counterclockwise where I should have clicked east side, north, south, then west, and then continued around. That way, lots 11 and 12, lines 11 and 12 are different. But I have my table in here, out of order right now. But for those of you who don't know, edit table style, sort by column 1, sort ascending, say OK, and there's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in order. So I showed a few nice little workflows in there. We broke down our section. We figured out our property line. 2 options is to offset your outer boundary, the distance that you want your lot widths, or come in and create your right-of-way line, your alignment, and then build a right-of-way. And then from there, we have our manual parcel line creation. You basically create a line, and you turn it into a parcel line, make sure it's in the same site, or we use that slide line. I like using that slide line with the automatic creation turned off, so it will allow me to create one at a time. So we went through, we went the 180 foot, we did a 60-foot offset, we determined we were going to have a road come through here, another line through here, and we built our outside the way we wanted. When we came in here, we had to come in and create another construction line so our lots wouldn't end up being 650,000 foot long, however long that was. We needed to have it target 180 feet around. But this right here is my open space, and it's going to be a pond. So this is going to be like an outlot A. And we built from there. We came in, we then labeled, and then we added tags. So now when we submit this plat for preliminary plat or even final plat, I see L11, L8, L9, I can come up to a table and read those dimensions instead of having all these dimensions just totally cluttering up the drawing. One thing I did forget was, before we created our tables, was to do the renumbering. So right now I have lot 62, 63, but we don't want that. We want to be able to rename, renumber, rename, template, L, next counter, insert, block 1. Say OK. Say OK. And it's asking me start point. All I have to do is click on my first lot and then just run that polyline through all the lots. Hit enter, hit enter. Now they all say lot 1, block 1, lot 2, block 1, lot 3, block 1. And all the way through to the last lot of lot 29, block 1. That quick. So build your exterior first, determine depths of lots, determine where your roads are at. That determines your next step. And then play with the manual, play with the automatic slide line. Use the slide line, and instead of just accepting the bearing or at the azimuth, keeping it perpendicular to the road, change it to angle and then change the bearing so it matches, say, the right-of-way line. Change your minimums so that the square footage holds and not the frontage. Play with those. If you want square footage to hold, set all your other minimums down to 5, down to 1. If you want the frontage to hold, set your minimum square footage down, and then it'll hold that 90 feet.